Long ago, the gods held a great race to choose their divine animal helpers. Competitors from across the land used their unique skills to cross the finish line. 12 victors became divine spirits, tasked with watching over the world. However, one animal that desperately wished to become a spirit was left behind. This cat was unfairly prevented from finishing the race. Its dream shattered. Now, thousands of years later, that lingering injustice is about to be corrected. A new divine race has begun, a chance for the wronged to claim their prize. The very same animal who was once cast aside is now the one setting the rules. On a city rooftop, two stunned teenagers watch a mysterious figure walk away. The boy panics, attempting to explain the unbelievable situation they're caught in. The girl nervously wonders if she'll ever be able to return to her normal body. While the boy is lost in his panic, her expression shifts to one of sharp focus. She clenches her fist, her doubt giving way to a new, steely resolve. Suddenly, two new figures crash their rooftop meeting, ready for a confrontation. A girl with a cat's tail and a man in a suit dash past, officially starting the race. The boy reaches out, trying to pull his friend away from the escalating danger. He and the cat-girl competitor look up in shock as something incredible happens. His friend has transformed, sprouting massive rabbit ears and leaping into the sky. The boy is left utterly speechless, questioning the reality of the situation. The new rabbit spirit soars over the city, leaving everyone on the rooftop behind. The newly transformed rabbit spirit plummets through the sky, screaming in absolute panic. The story flashes back, showing another competitor waiting pensively in a dark alleyway. This is the dog spirit, a quiet rebel contemplating the race ahead. Another participant is revealed as the sheep spirit, a studious girl focused on her books. The playful monkey spirit shares a close moment, her competitive side hidden behind a smile. Back in the present, the ancient cat spirit corners a boy, her expression one of pure determination. She pins him down, grabbing his attention to deliver a very important message. With intense focus, she declares her unwavering resolve to win this race, no matter the cost. The scene then introduces a young man named Lee Woo-ju, absorbed in a book about cats. He looks up from his reading with clear annoyance, bothered by the noise of his school day. He recalls being too timid and weak to ever fit in with the other kids. This social awkwardness made it nearly impossible for him to make any friends. He saw things like friendship and romance as distant fantasies meant for other people. Instead, he found his only real comfort in the simple, harmless world of animals. But his quiet solitude is shattered when a figure lands on the lockers just above him. The mysterious cat spirit announces that her long search is finally over. She drops down with startling speed, her face inches from his, leaving him stunned. He scrambles backward in a flustered panic, clutching his book like a shield. The cat spirit playfully peeks over his book with a knowing, mischievous smile. She then walks past him with confidence, leaving him to hide his bright red face. The cat spirit leans in closer, noticing something strange about the flustered boy. He stares back, his mind racing to explain the cat ears and golden eyes before him. Before he can process it, he's sent flying backward out of a rooftop door. He lands with a thud, only to find a completely different girl standing over him. She smiles sweetly, asking the bewildered Woo-ju what he's doing on the school roof. He frantically looks for the cat spirit, but she has vanished without a trace. The rooftop is suddenly empty, making him doubt if the encounter ever happened. The new girl's sweet demeanor vanishes as she grabs his face, accusing him of lying. The scene changes, revealing her propping her foot up and demanding his attention. Surrounded by his classmates, a humiliated Woo-ju is forced to tend to his bully. The bully looms over him, twisting the humiliating act into some kind of twisted reward. Terrified, Woo-ju forces himself to agree, hoping to end the ordeal quickly. His forced compliance only makes the bullies laugh harder, enjoying his complete degradation. Taking his words as a challenge, she begins to remove her sock to further torment him. She mockingly offers him the sock, pushing the humiliation to a whole new level. The onlookers whisper and judge, completely misinterpreting his panicked reaction as enjoyment. Another student joins the mockery, belittling Woo-ju for his perceived weakness. The taunting takes a sharp turn when a rumor surfaces about him living with a girl named Beck Robin. The bully's interest is immediately piqued, her teasing forgotten in favor of this juicy gossip. Her eyes narrow with a dangerous curiosity, demanding to know if the rumor is true. Cornered by the question, Woo-ju stammers, his face burning with embarrassment. The student's attention shifts to a girl sitting alone by the window, the very same Beck Robin from the rumor. She sits calmly at her desk, completely unaware she's become the center of the classroom's drama. The bully ignores his frantic explanation, her mind jumping to scandalous conclusions about their relationship. She strikes a pose to further mock him, turning his humiliation into a performance for the class. Suddenly, a calm voice cuts through the noise as Rabin stands up and confirms they do, in fact, live together. She stares down the bully, coolly questioning why her living situation is anyone else's concern. Unfazed, the bully just finds the whole situation hilarious, ready to stir up more trouble. Rabin's patience wears thin as she sharply tells the group to mind their own business. Finding a spark of courage from her intervention, Wooju finally speaks up against his tormentors. The bully's face contorts in disbelief as Rabin's sharp words hit their mark. Without hesitation, Rabin delivers a swift slap, silencing the bully's taunts. She then grabs a stunned Wooju by the hand, deciding they've had enough. Together, they make a quick escape, leaving the chaotic classroom behind. The bullies are left frozen in shock, unable to process what just happened. In a secluded storage room, Wooju awkwardly tries to express his gratitude. Rabin quickly shuts him down, insisting she only acted to save her own reputation. Her cold dismissal leaves him flustered, stammering out a quiet apology. His thoughts drift back to their past, remembering his bold childhood friend, Beck Rabin. Now he sees only the vast social chasm between the popular girl and the lonely boy he's become. She advises him to stand up for himself, unaware of a black cat watching from the window. As she warns that his weakness complicates things for her, a shadowy figure lunges toward her. The cat pounces directly onto her head, causing her to cry out in shock. Wooju panics as she stumbles backward, completely caught off guard by the feline ambush. He trips in the chaos, falling to the ground with a pained expression. He lands awkwardly on top of Rabin, who is stunned by the sudden, uncomfortably close encounter. In the midst of their fall, a mysterious comma-shaped pendant around her neck begins to emit a soft glow. Wooju's eyes widen as he recognizes the familiar, now glowing necklace. His memory flashes back to his childhood, recalling the day he gave that very pendant to a young Rabin. The flashback shows a younger Rabin hesitantly accepting the gift, reminding him it was a precious keepsake from his mother. The flashback reveals his innocent declaration, comparing her importance to that of his mother. Snapped back to the present, Rabin stares down at him, completely bewildered by his dazed state. Their awkward position on the floor finally registers, leaving them both stunned and flustered. The mysterious black cat makes another move, leaping with purpose. It lands squarely on Rabin, who cries out as the feline executes its plan. The cat then dashes to the window, holding a stolen prize in its mouth. A close-up shows the cat has successfully snatched the glowing pendant. Rabin frantically clutches her throat, discovering her cherished necklace is missing. She spots the feline thief in the window, about to make its getaway with her pendant. Wooju scrambles to his feet as she confirms the cat has stolen her precious necklace. Rabin looks at him in despair, completely unsure of what to do next. A sudden spark of resolve ignites in Wooju's eyes as he makes a decision. Without a second thought, he launches himself out the window after the fleeing feline. He hurtles through the air, completely focused on catching the cat mid-fall. In his frantic pursuit, he sends beakers and lab equipment crashing to the floor. A different girl in the hallway turns in surprise, telling someone to get out of her way. Wooju sprints down the corridor, gaining on the cat as the girl watches them approach. The nimble cat collides with the girl, startling her as it weaves between her legs. Wooju barrels past, shoving the girl aside in his single-minded chase. The girl stares after him in disbelief, stunned by his sudden and rude interruption. The girl he shoved aside quickly readies herself, her expression one of pure indignation. Fueled by rage, she sprints after Wooju, determined to get her revenge. She rips off her slipper and hurls it with surprising accuracy at the fleeing boy. He glances back in shock, seeing the slipper just moments before impact. The slipper misses its intended target and instead smacks the fleeing cat mid-air. The girl who threw the shoe stares in wide-eyed horror at the unexpected outcome. Recovering quickly, the cat makes a desperate leap out of a nearby open window. Wooju lunges toward the window in a panic as the cat makes its escape. Without a moment's hesitation, he throws himself out the window after the feline. The girl is left utterly speechless, watching him plummet from the school building. Rabin watches in horror from the window as Wooju plummets towards the ground below. As he tumbles through the air, Wooju resigns himself to his impending doom. His life flashes before his eyes, filled with regrets for all the things he never got to do. Suddenly, the cat on his chest scolds him for his idiotic and reckless leap. Wooju's fear turns to utter shock as the talking feline explains the fatal consequences of his fall. The cat decides his selfless act makes him a worthy candidate, holding the glowing pendant ready. It unleashes the pendant's power, announcing the official start of the 12th Zodiac tournament. With the glowing artifact pressed against his chest, the cat declares the ancient race will begin anew. Wuju's mind reels as the cat appoints itself the judge of this mysterious competition. A massive burst of light envelops the school as the cat officially chooses its human champion. Wuju plummets toward a glowing magical sigil, utterly bewildered by the strange phenomenon. The cat urgently demands he accept the role of judge, adding to his utter confusion. In a moment of sheer desperation, he agrees to become the judge of the tournament. His eyes flare with a strange light as the cat accepts his answer and prepares to lay down the rules. The scene abruptly shifts to a mysterious woman in a grand hall, sensing a disturbance in the air. Suddenly, he's transported to her location, staring up at the imposing figure in fear and confusion. Standing before her in the vast, empty hall, he is confronted with a profound question about his desires. She presses the point, demanding to know the deepest, truest desire of his heart. With her reflection in his eye, the question echoes in his mind, forcing him to look inward. A selfless wish begins to form on his lips, a desire that involves the well-being of others. A gentle voice calls out to Wuju, trying to wake him from his daze. He opens his eyes to see a concerned girl leaning over him, asking if he's all right. Wuju jolts awake, his mind a complete and utter blank. In his sudden panic, he sits up and accidentally bumps heads with the girl. Both of them reel back, nursing their now aching heads from the clumsy collision. She reminds him of the unbelievable truth. He somehow survived a fall from the 4th floor. He looks around the infirmary, admitting that the entire incident is a complete blur. The girl finds it strange that he's completely unharmed, blaming his memory loss on the shock. Wuju can only stare blankly, unable to recall the magical events that just unfolded. She advises him to visit a hospital for a proper checkup, a suggestion he meekly accepts. Wuju walks home from school, his head still fuzzy from the unbelievable events. He arrives at his apartment, hoping a good night's sleep will clear his muddled thoughts. His quiet evening is shattered by the sight of a familiar black cat sitting smugly on his bed. He points accusingly at the feline, who calmly claims the stolen necklace was its property all along. His jaw drops as the cat begins to talk, completely upending his understanding of reality. He tries to dismiss the talking animal as a hallucination, but the cat refuses to be ignored. The feline casually informs him that he is now a judge and warns him not to be a disappointment. Utterly bewildered, Wuju can only stare back, questioning the meaning of this new title. The cat's friendly demeanor vanishes, replaced by a menacing glare as it questions his memory loss. It then lunges toward him, vowing to restore his memories by any means necessary. Meanwhile, Rabin cautiously approaches Wuju's apartment door. She looks up with concern, wondering why he hasn't returned home yet. Her thoughts are interrupted by a sudden, terrified scream from inside his room. Alarmed, she bolts up the stairs, calling out his name in a panic. She pauses at the door, hesitating for a moment before deciding to enter. Announcing her entry, she throws the door open to investigate the commotion. Peeking inside, her expression turns to one of complete shock. She discovers Wuju in a frantic struggle with a mysterious girl who has cat ears. Rabin's eyes widen in absolute astonishment, unable to comprehend the bizarre scene. The cat girl turns to face her, tilting her head with a curious, feline-like gaze. Rabin lets out a horrified scream, completely scandalized by the scene before her. The cat girl smirks, satisfied that his memories have finally returned. Misunderstanding the situation, Rabin bolts from the apartment, yelling for her mother. Wuju, finally remembering everything, breathes a sigh of relief amidst the chaos. He turns to the mysterious girl, who playfully reminds him that she's the cat from his fall. She introduces herself as Nina, but Wuju is too flustered to process anything beyond her lack of attire. Rabin's panicked cries echo as she continues to flee from the shocking discovery. Wuju's brief moment of clarity is shattered as he realizes the social disaster unfolding. From the hallway, Rabin points an accusing finger, her mind jumping to the worst possible conclusions. Left alone in his room, Wuju sits in a stunned silence, trying to process the utter pandemonium. Rabin's mother appears at the door, cheerfully greeting a stunned Wuju. Rabin stares down at him in utter disbelief, unable to process her mother's calm reaction. The mother casually invites Wuju for dinner, completely oblivious to the chaos. A panicked Rabin scrambles after her mother, desperate to manage the situation. Back in the room, Nina playfully startles Wuju, who is still reeling from the encounter. Rabin suddenly bursts back through the doorway, having forgotten something crucial. She stops short, finding Wooju standing awkwardly with his arms spread wide. Her eyes play tricks on her as she sees Nina clinging to his back before dismissing the thought. Wooju, red-faced and overwhelmed, desperately pleads with Nina to be less conspicuous. He frantically grabs a blanket, trying to cover her up and restore some sense of normalcy. He stares in disbelief as Nina reverts to her feline form, now fast asleep on a pile of pillows. He slumps onto his bed, utterly exhausted, as the cat explains their fall caused an unforeseen complication. Overcome with a sudden drowsiness, he questions the cat about the 12th Zodiac tournament from the ancient folktale. The sleepy feline confirms the legend is real, announcing the contest's return after a 3,000-year hiatus. The sheer scale of 3,000 years stuns him as an unnatural sleepiness finally takes over. With Wooju now unconscious, the cat admits that circumstances forced it to choose him. It places the full weight of its mission on his shoulders, entrusting him with the title of judge. Even in his slumber, his mind wrestles with the illogical events that have unfolded. The story flashes back to a peaceful scene, where a mysterious figure sits among the original animal spirits. The serene moment is broken as the figure announces its departure, gently stroking a small sheep spirit. In the distant past, a small black cat looks up, startled by the arrival of a divine being. The mysterious figure offers the gathered animal spirits a chance to leave their forest with her. She walks away, explaining that the honor of joining her is reserved for only a select few. The divine being reveals there are exactly 12 coveted spots available for her companions. She declares that a grand contest will determine which of them are worthy of those 12 seats. Back in the present, Wooju mutters in his sleep, the ancient memory of the cat echoing in his dreams. He suddenly sits bolt upright, waking from the vivid and confusing vision. Wooju frantically scans his room, questioning if the talking cat was just a figment of his imagination. A quick glance at the time confirms he isn't late, a minor relief in his chaotic morning. Despite being on time, he sinks back onto his bed, dreading the thought of facing another day at school. Resigned to his fate, Wooju drags himself out of bed to start the day. He mechanically gets ready for school, his mind still reeling from the previous night's chaos. While buttoning his shirt, he spots a familiar black cat perched on his windowsill. He leans in for a closer look, realizing the bizarre events were not a dream after all. Just as he processes this, the cat leaps gracefully from its perch. A bare human foot suddenly lands on the windowsill where the cat just was. A second foot follows as an uninvited guest prepares to enter his room. The mysterious cat girl, Nina, steps inside as if she owns the place. She stretches her arms wide, completely at ease in her new surroundings. Nina cheerfully begins to get dressed, completely unfazed by his stunned silence. Wooju slumps at his desk, momentarily relieved that his main tormentor is absent for the day. His peace is shattered as classmates gossip about Rabin's absence, linking it to yesterday's drama. His eyes snap open, the casual cruelty of their words hitting him like a physical blow. The students continue their chatter, completely oblivious to the impact of their conversation. He overhears them pitying Rabin for being stuck with him, and a wave of guilt washes over him. Unable to bear their judgment, he leaps from his chair, driven by a sudden frantic energy. He realizes with dawning horror that his actions might have caused Rabin to get into serious trouble. Fueled by worry, he bolts from the school, leaving his classes and his fears behind. He rushes to her home, only for her mother to confirm that Rabin never even left for school. With a growing sense of dread, he sprints through the city, realizing something is terribly wrong. Exhausted from his frantic search, Wooju slumps in defeat, unable to find Rabin anywhere. Just as he's about to give up, a familiar cat girl casually strolls up the sidewalk toward him. It's Nina, calmly enjoying a popsicle as if nothing in the world is wrong. He stammers in disbelief, finally recognizing the mysterious girl from the night before. Wooju frantically questions her nonchalant attitude, worried someone will notice her obvious feline features. She dismisses his concern by pointing to her hat, completely ignoring her very visible wagging tail. He shakes off his frustration, refocusing on the real problem at hand, finding Rabin. Nina's expression shifts as she notices something on the ground, coolly wondering if the contest has begun. Her cryptic comment sends him into a panic, and he grabs her, demanding a clear explanation. With a sinister grin, she reveals the terrifying truth. The descent of the 12 Zodiacs has commenced. A massive pillar of light erupts from the city skyline, stopping Wooju in his tracks. He stares in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend the celestial phenomenon before him. Nina grabs his hand, yanking him into a desperate sprint toward the chaos. As they run, she urgently explains that a dangerous ritual has just been initiated. She reveals that 12 divine beings are descending to Earth to oversee the contest. To his horror, he learns that one of these gods has already possessed Rabin. He panics, demanding to know what will happen, but she brushes off his questions. Nina reveals his first duty as judge. He must force all 12 gods to participate in her game. He stammers, questioning the consequences should he fail this impossible task. Her expression turns deadly as she reveals the horrifying stakes. Rabin's very soul will be consumed. With a manic grin, Nina orders him to hurry and catch Rabin before the possession is complete. A brilliant celestial light slams into a nearby building, marking the god's landing point. He reaches a storage room, realizing this must be where the divine being landed. Wuju calls out for Rabin as he and Nina step into the darkened storage area. He spots Rabin huddled in a corner, clearly terrified and trying to hide from them. He approaches cautiously, confused by her fearful reaction and asking what's wrong. Her head snaps up as she screams in terror, desperately warning him to stay back. Before he can react, her hair transforms to a flowing blonde as she leaps away with impossible agility. He stares in shock at her blinding speed, realizing they have to pursue her now. Seeing her ascend a flight of stairs, he knows they must catch her now, as the possession isn't yet complete. Wuju and Nina watch in stunned silence as the transformed Rabin walks away from them. He desperately calls out to her, explaining that joining the tournament is the only way to return to normal. Nina watches his frantic attempt, her expression unreadable as he pleads with his friend. Ignoring his pleas, Rabin takes a shocking leap off the edge of the building. Wuju stares in disbelief as she soars into the sky, now sporting a pair of massive rabbit ears. Nina's eyes glow with recognition as she identifies their first official opponent in the tournament. She reveals that Rabin has been possessed by the 4th Zodiac spirit, the rabbit. The unbelievable sight leaves Wuju completely lost, unable to process the magical transformation. The newly awakened rabbit spirit suddenly loses control, beginning to plummet back towards the city. Wuju screams out her name in absolute terror, helpless as he watches her fall. The rabbit spirit gracefully leaps into the night, leaving the city skyline behind her. Wuju stares in wide-eyed horror, his mind struggling to accept what he's just seen. He watches helplessly as she disappears into the distance, a tiny figure against the massive city. Nina calmly assesses the situation, annoyed that their first opponent is the troublesome rabbit spirit. Wuju grabs her arm in a panic, pointing out that his friend just plummeted from the building. She looks down at him with cold amusement, completely unfazed by his frantic desperation. He argues back in sheer terror, unable to understand her casual reaction to the life-or-death situation. Nina's patience snaps as she realizes they're about to lose their target. Without warning, she grabs him and follows Rabin's lead, pulling them both off the rooftop. She lets out a wild laugh, enjoying the thrill of the fall while dragging a screaming Wuju with her.